Bilberry
So yeah,
bilberries.
I kind of want to get the temperature of the East Coast there because I'm sitting here nestled in the Midwest, and just kind of like how things are shaking out there. Like how's the economy doing over there in North Carolina?
Um, Mixed bags, mixed bags. So I would say that in some less rural fronts, a lot of the suburb main city areas, they're doing pretty well. Um, I would say that like the weeds, the sticks, the like coastal areas, not so hot. Like just generally, like economy is a little slow. Jobs have really been drifting towards cities, and like unless you're in a blue collar type work scenario, like there is limited professional advancement in the area.
Yeah,
So
it would seem a lot of the jobs, quite frankly, lie in most of the blue collar jobs. But even like here in the Midwest, I'm finding that there's a worker surplus and a
yeah.
job like deficit. So, because like a lot of the jobs here in the Midwest, or at least in Iowa, pay pretty damn well. So people
Mhm.
aren't leaving their jobs. So like new people coming in are like having a really hard time finding stuff.
I,
And
I
then,
I
you
wouldn't
know,
say that that's the issue here. I would say that like the availability of blue collar jobs is perfectly fine. It's just that a lot of people aren't really wanting to do those jobs around here.
right.
It's that like game of economies where it's like there is nobody who wants to actually do the dirty jobs. Funny thing, Dirty Jobs, great show about like blue collar work and whatnot. And like honestly, like yeah, it's just like that's where it's really hitting around here. Is like everybody wants to be an influencer. Everybody wants to be like that, like YouTube, that like TikTok, whatever sensation,
Yeah.
and then nobody wants to do a behind the counter job. Like nobody wants to do retail. Like the few things that they have is like finance or like tech, and people are trying to flood those hard. And then competition is fierce.
Yeah. And then I'm no different, right? So, I mean, here I am doing videos and shit. But the difference is I'm also working 50 hours a week at a blue collar job. And this for me is just, I feel like I got things to say that I want to say, and I want to be out there out in public and try and engage some people into like thinking about like, especially like the influencer culture. Like, I feel like a lot of them are like all wrapped up in the influencer culture, and then they speak on issues for us as if they're our voice when they haven't been a member of our class of people in a long time, and I'm still living it and I'm still working it, and you're trying to break into the tech sector, and like a lot of these people have like no fucking temperature reading on what's actually going on, and people like my life, people like me and people like you, they have like no temperature reading on it because they've been out of it for a long time, or it's just I
Lack
don't
of
know what to call it.
understanding.
Yeah,
It's
lack of understanding, lack of
lack of
perspective.
relatability. Yeah, relatability. It's another thing. Yeah, it's an interesting little conundrum because they want to be the voice, but they don't want to like experience what that voice needs to experience to actually be your voice.
Yeah, and then like I'm not trying to rag on them. Like people do their things, and people do good things with, and
Yeah.
success is success. But also I totally just forgot where I was going with that.
I mean, it's the game of like people being outside their space, their field, their like realm of living. Because like in many ways, influencers and like people who have like ascended beyond like what we would call the middle class. I would say you're in the middle class. I'm in the lower class. Like completely honest, income wise, like like base living and like just location and whatnot, like the people who have ascended beyond the middle class like don't really have wants or needs in the same space, so like they decide to have like this commentary, and like the new generation being like young people who only converse through the screen, like they have a lot of balls, not in the
Yeah.
good way. The kind
Um,
of like they'll talk shit about a person, and then like oh yeah, why did this person get so triggered so quick? And I'm like, we're not getting
introverted
triggered.
extroverts,
Nah, yeah, it's not
um,
even that. It's just like ballsy words, and it's like it's not something you would say in a face and face encounter because like I know, I know personally, like you know personally, you know me. I speak how I speak to most people, exactly the same, internet or not. But I'm also not one to take like shit talk, as it were. And like this younger generation is willing to like push that envelope. And then the second like anything gets into a physical altercation or some form of like real world like iteration and with heated tense moments that you can't just press pause, turn off the game,
yeah,
exit a
this ain't the
call
movie
away.
Click, dude.
Yeah, like they immediately like shut down and get like all like
Of social
upset.
anxiety.
Yeah, all upset that you're attacking them, and then it's like, no, you attacked me first. You earned this ire, and now you have to live with it. And like we
Well,
grew up in a world where like ire for ire, like we knew better than to like poke the enemy because we're like regardless of how we may feel and want to talk online and like behind closed doors and with a mask, like
yeah,
they don't get it.
yeah. Well, and the other thing that I've noticed a lot is particularly with the younger generation, and certainly from our generation too, is the era of hopelessness.
Yeah,
Hopelessness and making it ahead in the economy, like being able to buy a house, having a good car, having a good job. And I understand the frustration because it took me like a almost a decade and a half to get where I'm at right
I
now.
know.
And
I know very well.
the biggest problem that I have with a lot of these people that spout the hopelessness online, mainly TikTok, is if you want to make it at least towards the lower middle class or even the middle class, like you need to be willing to work like 50 fucking hours a week
Yeah,
every week for a decade straight before you can afford any of it. Like this idea that the instant gratification that social media has gotten people used to, the idea that that is how the real world works is just it's an utter farce. Like you can't you cannot go through life thinking that way because the only the only thing that can come to you that quickly is death. That is the only thing in the real world that will slap you instantly. And doing all these other good things to get yourself in a good spot mentally, to get yourself in a good spot financially, and all those other things, like it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of dedication. Like I still work 50 hours a week. There's been times where I worked 60 hours a week. There were times like when I first started out trucking, I was on the road for 4 months and I'd be home for like 3 days because I needed to make money. Because if the wheels aren't turning, you're not earning. And I needed to get my family out of the situation that we were in because we were living with my grandparents and in Colorado. And I had to realize also like location matters a lot too. So like in Colorado with like how much houses cost and the average cost of living, I realized that unless I was going to make $250,000 a year, I was never going to make it in that state. Not ever. So I had to look at alternatives. And then
I mean, yeah, and
talking to
that
my
comes
mom and my
to
stepdad's from here, you know, we landed on Iowa with the cost of living being so much smaller. Like the house I got is a what, and the other thing that they forget about is like starter homes, like this idea that you're going to have a 5 bedroom, 4 bathroom house with like 3 stories and a fucking pool. Like that's not, you need a starter
that's
house. Like,
movie talk. That's movie talk.
yeah,
Like
like what
realistically,
I have a 1,000 square foot, 3 bedroom, 1 bathroom, one level house with a half
yeah,
acre and a crawl space
yep.
for
You don't
two
have a
hundred thousand
ranch.
dollars
You
out
don't have a
here in Iowa.
compound
It's
right now.
doable. Like
Yeah.
it's two hundred
No.
dollars, two
Yeah,
hundred
and
thousand dollars
like
flat. But the gross thing about like some of the places to live, like in Colorado, this same house is like 400 grand, and that's just
yeah,
asinine.
yeah.
And
Another
so,
thing I would say is that like some of those people just don't understand like the concept of like the cost of living and living within your means.
Yeah.
They live life like through movies and Facebook and like all the TV shows where it's like, oh, everything's just like a handout. It's already there. And then you realize that like, nah, like in order to take like a trip, like, you gotta scrounge for like 10 months,
Yeah.
like that bottom barrel $50 every month, like, to get like the 400 to go on a local trip. If you want to go further, you gotta make more. And like you can live on a lot lower than your means. Like, if, for example, like mine right now, like my cost of living is probably like in the ballpark of what's needed to survive exactly is somewhere close to like 1550 a month. Like
Yeah.
making anything above that a month, you can survive. Like now that's with rent, that's like car payments. Now, if we get into like, wanting to live better and in better areas, yeah, it's going to raise up. But I live in the boons, like, to be perfectly honest. And like, to make 3 grand a month is difficult, difficult, like, just from a job. Like, I have like other scenarios of income coming in, and like, I mean, it's a relative steady pay, but it's not enough to live like the way people like want to go. Oh, let's go $50 for brunch today and a 3 course meal. They're like, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I want that like $10 diner meal and like maybe get the buffet line for breakfast, and I'd be a very happy camper at that point.
Well, like
Like,
I haven't eaten out
yeah, and
in
like
like
what?
3 years at
Yeah,
least,
something like
maybe.
that.
Yeah, like 3 years, like ever since I
Okay,
was doing my
no.
trucking vlogs.
You got some in there, but it's like one meal. It's
It's
not
fucking
like,
rare.
yeah, it's not like an everyday thing.
No.
And like I'm
No.
in this situation where it's like, bro, groceries, like that's what I'm spending money on. It's gonna be groceries. Like if I go out, it's gonna be for the rare movie night, like Deadpool when that coming up. Like I'm gonna go watch it. I don't give a fuck.
Well, I even hesitate to like spoil myself on like steak because beef was like
Oh
super expensive there for a while, and
yeah,
finally, for whatever reason in Iowa, it started dropping again. Like it started becoming a normal price. Like before, I don't know, like a year ago, if I wanted 3 New York strip steaks, it was like 60 fucking dollars, and now it's like 23. So I'm like, okay, we're doing a little bit better there. I'll take it,
yeah.
and I can treat myself a little bit
Yeah,
every
like
now and
for
again.
me, steak is like for a reasonable chuck eye, like not the greatest. It's still like $10 a pound or something like that. It's not outrageous. It's not cheap, but like, it's something to eat. I mean, another thing is like finding a good local butcher who can cut you a real deal. Like
Yeah,
people these days don't understand. Like, I need a whole other freezer. Like, I don't need like a fridge. I need a whole outdoor freezer just for meats. And like, I want to go to a butcher and get like a whole ass cow. Shit,
yeah.
I used to raise them. If you remember when I was younger, and like we raise cattle to eat, to like not for large farming production, no, like small micro farms, and like, 2 to 3 cows. It was like they're all going to slaughter. Names Buffy, Delicious, and T-Bone. That's their name.
T-bone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
like so.
every pig had a name. Same game.
Yeah,
It's
so
like bacon
I still
sausage.
got to get a freezer so that I
Yeah,
can store
you
meat.
so you can get that good, because then you can run those good like runs to like either a butcher and get a bigger deal, or like, like even just Aldi's and hitting up and filling your
Well,
freezer.
not only that, as I got a bow and I'm gonna hunt deer.
Venison,
I'm
yeah,
gonna shoot my first deer this season, hopefully. And then the other thing that I plan to supplement my food stores with is fishing
yeah.
because there's bass, pike, catfish all here around me
Not
that I can
none of
grab.
them are my favorites, but
I mean,
they
food's
they
food at
get,
the end of the day, right?
it would get the job done. Yeah, I'm more of a let's eat some rabbit for the next couple weeks.
This is how you know I've been in Iowa for a little bit too long when I'm saying right instead of fucking right.
Right.
Right?
I mean,
Don't you know? It
oh,
gets
you're
into your
slipping.
bones there, eh, bud?
Yeah, you're slipping. But
I'm
yeah,
making
like
every Midwestern
bear,
person cringe right now. They're
bear.
just like,
Bear
How
would be the
dare you
play.
insult me like this? Why would you say that? Shut up now.
Why not? You
Because
know,
it's fun. Fuck, and I'll do what I fucking want because this is America, God damn it.
we should just hunt bear. There we go.
Yeah, I hear from all right, from what I hear from Rogan, it's pretty damn good.
It's amazing, gamey, but I
I
got
wouldn't
some
know. I've
trick.
never had it.
I've had bear. I got some tricks up my sleeve to actually cover that, and I'm
I've
like,
had venison, I've had elk, and I've had
not had elk.
bison.
I've had bison. No,
Is there Casey's out where you are?
no, bro. If they do exist, they're more than an hour away. I couldn't
Oh,
tell you.
well, I also like Loves and Flying J. I think you can find some
Yeah,
elk and bison jerky there.
yeah. I live in that bubble. You remember that like
Yeah,
nowhere bubble.
the fucking yeah. No, I understand.
I live in the history of past bygone eras.
Yeah.
Little Jimmy left for the city.
I mean, there's some
So
history around me. Like 30 minutes down the road is the old Maytag appliance factory that shut down
yeah, but
God
like
knows how long ago.
you got like major history. I got like this town
Yeah.
was founded in 1812. Nothing happened and nobody gave
Probably
a
older
fuck.
than that. Don't you have
No,
Charleston nearby?
well that's not me. Like my local town is
Oh, yeah.
1812, and I'm
I'm
like
not even sure how long my local towns existed, to be
yeah,
honest with
like
you. I'm
I'm
new here. I've only been here for 4 years, so I'm just kind of learning. That's why my main descriptor that I have for myself is a mountain man trapped in a cornfield, a wild bush Wookie. Okay. Because that's how it rolls.
I'm a hermit.
I'm
I'm just the hermit. I'm the great sage one day.
just a fucking idiot with a camera and a microphone, and that's fine. And I have opinions, and I'm going to share them with everybody. But I really appreciate your talk on a little bit of the economy and like some of the future prospects and what it takes to actually like get where you're going, even though we're both not quite there yet. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk to you again soon, man.
All right. You have a wonderful day.
Deuces.
Deuces.